Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. If you want the inside scoop, the first word of anything that I have in terms of my insider knowledge about BYU athletics, join the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. That is where that information is coming to you first. And the best part is it's coming to your phone in the form of a text message. To be a member of the Locked On Cougars Insider Group, it's just $4.99 a month, $5. To make it easy for you guys. And the kicker is you get a 14-day free trial, 2 full weeks before you're charged a single penny for it. And like I said, it comes to your phone in the form of a text message. You can fire back with thoughts of your own. I have a lot of good conversations with hundreds of our listeners, and I appreciate all your patronage so far and hope that, hundreds of you more will want to join the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. Link is in the show notes below. I may throw up a graphic and post-prod here that'll be easy to click on it if you're watching this on YouTube as well. But thank you to all of you who have joined, and hope many more of you will be joining the Locked On Cougars Insider Group in short order. All right, as I mentioned, BYU is casting a wide net when it comes to the transfer portal, and at the same time, they're being plenty picky, and I don't mean that to sound negative about BYU. Kevin Young knows what he's chasing and knows what he wants inside his program. He's got top-tier talent coming in the form of an A.J. DeBonsa, and he wants to surround him and Richie Saunders, pending Richie Saunders officially announcing he's coming back to BYU, with the best talent available around them. Well, we talked a lot about Robert Wright III, and I think, like I said, he's a tailor-made fit for BYU, but he is not the only target out there that I believe BYU is looking at. And in fact, I'm not saying it, I know they're not looking at, because they're constantly evaluating prospects literally worldwide. BYU's connections via Kevin Young and his staff, their tentacles, to use that expression, literally go worldwide, and they can reach out to Europe. They can go to Africa. They could go to the Far East. They can go anywhere in the world and find talent, but they also have those inroads with relationships they have here stateside. There are 2 more names you'll want to monitor, I think, in the coming days, and this could be outdated as soon as I publish it, but nonetheless, 2 more names you'll want to watch in the transfer portal market for BYU. We'll start off stateside here, and this is a kid, speaking of Xavian Lee, from Princeton, out of the Ivy League. Princeton, Ivy League schools. Forgive me. He's a Princeton Tiger, 6'4", 180-pound product of Toronto, Ontario. And Xavian Lee, what he has done this past 3 seasons, he's a junior at Princeton, is he has been a scoring machine. He averaged 17.1 points in 2023-2024. This past season, I saw that go down to 16.9 points per game. But more importantly, he's a stat-stuffing machine. He has averaged nearly 6 rebounds the past 2 seasons, and also this past season, 5.5 assists, 1.2 steals, on average just 2.2 turnovers. He is a really, really nice prospect, and the shooting numbers on him are not elite. The three-point number this past season, 36.6%. But his scoring ability and his ability to play on the wing, I think, is a tailor-made fit for what Kevin Young is looking for. I mentioned he's 6'4", 180 pounds, and the fact he's gone to Princeton, he's not going to have to worry about academics, because if he got into the Ivy League, he can swing it at BYU for all intents and purposes. I really like what we've talked about. I talked earlier this week about Makai Mason, who's a 40% three-point shooter, knockdown shooter from Washington. BYU understands that they need to have guys who are capable of being secondary scoring options for BYU on offense. Let's say A.J. DeBonsa comes down to the court and gets stymied for whatever reason. Well, he needs an opportunity to be able to kick it out to somebody and have them see if they can find a way to score. Well, Xavian Lee has proven that in large doses for the Princeton Tigers. And I think he would be a really, really nice fit for this BYU offense. Think of him in, I would consider, kind of the mold of a Dawson Baker. Dawson Baker is more crafty than he is anything else, but he's a proven scorer. And I think Dawson Baker is going to be a really nice piece to have on the wing for BYU next year. I think Xavian Lee offers that, but even more than Dawson Baker does, Xavian Lee, I think, is better defensively, moves better laterally based on what I saw in the short film study I did on him ahead of this podcast. And I think this would be a really, really nice addition for the BYU basketball program if they can land Xavian Lee. Now, I mentioned that BYU staff, they obviously want to go look worldwide as well. Well, there is a prospect over in Spain, and that should sound familiar because didn't Egor Demin just come over from Spain from Real Madrid? Yes, he did. Well, they may be hitting that same part of the world once again for a prospect by the name of Sergio De Larrea. And I'm probably going to butcher that pronunciation for any of you Spanish speakers, but he is a Spanish national. He currently plays for Valencia in Spain's ACB league, which is one of the top tier leagues in Europe. Routinely, teams from that, like Real Madrid, Valencia, they play in the Euro League. And he is a 6'6" playmaking point guard who, according to a NBA draft, a scouting report on him from Kevin O'Connor, formerly of The Ringer, now of Yahoo Sports, talked about the fact that his strengths, positional size, and he lists him here, speaking of De Larrea, at 6'7". I saw him at 6'6", but he says he can see over the defense, has the vision to make every read in the book. That sounds very familiar, much like Egor Demin. There's a flair to his playmaking as well, given the way he changes the angle of his arm to make certain passes. He'll go low into the side for a bounce pass into the paint or over the top for kickouts, and he's decisive with these decisions while limiting careless turnovers. That sounds very intriguing. He also mentions this. He has combo guard skills. He's a high IQ cutter, which what BYU plans on doing, I think, with this offense with AJ DeBonsa and Richie Saunders is absolutely a weapon to have guys who can cut like this. Keeps the ball moving fluidly and offers a smooth, lefty stroke to hit catch and shoot threes. Jeez, talk about I'm intrigued. On the season, he made 45.2% of his threes. Yep, sign me up. Bring in Sergio De Larrea. So I get all that. He says he's likely not quite that elite, as his free throw percentage has been closer to average, but he has a clean form and shoots it with confidence. And he also mentions this. He has the size to someday guard multiple positions if he gets stronger, but as of now, he displays the IQ to make proper rotations and the heart to stay locked in. This is an NBA draft prospectus for Sergio De Larrea. I'm intrigued. And I talked to some people who I thought would have a better feel for what Sergio De Larrea bring to the table, and they said, yes, he could be a guy that BYU wants to bring in, but they also cautioned that they don't think that he is as polished as a Egor Demin was coming to BYU as a freshman. Now, Sergio De Larrea is the same age and actually, in fact, is a little bit older than Egor. He's currently already 19 years old, but I really do think that this could be an intriguing option in terms of the overseas market that BYU has hit up routinely. I think the pieces for BYU roster-wise are going to come together pretty nicely. Yes, they have an unproven commodity in Kadeem Mboop. What does he end up being for the BYU basketball program? He's a freak athletically. What's Dominique Diomande look like as a guy who's coming over? His last time he played was in France. He spent half a season at Washington and transferred. What do those two offer? But I will also add this. Some of you are going to scream at me. Well, BYU needs big men. Yes, they need big men, but the latest is the BYU is focusing on the wings right now, and I'm assuming we'll address the big men issue later. BYU's program, with what Kevin Young is operating like and the way it appears he's recruiting, is going to be wing-centric. It's going to be guard-driven in terms of its overall prowess out there, and I don't think that's a bad way to go about it. He wants to play a very NBA style of basketball. The era of the big man with the back to the basket in the NBA, it's gone. It's all about spacing. It's all about playmaking on the wing. And he's got two bona fide playmakers in AJ DeBonsa and Richie Saunders on the wing. Now he's surround them with talent. And let's say you get a Robert Wright and a Sergio De Larrea to come in and be your 2 point guards next year. I think it'd be a pretty nice tandem to have. You bring in a Xaivian Lee and Makai Mason, who are scorers and bona fide shooters from the perimeter. Those are exactly what BYU is trying to do. They're trying to set this team up for success. More importantly, they're trying to set it up where it's versatile, much like it was this past year. They could mix and match and morph into whatever they needed to be at multiple points. And that's a big reason why BYU finished the season on the run that they did. 9 straight wins going into the Big 12 tournament, and then ultimately making a run to the Sweet 16. The versatility BYU's roster offered last year was a major strength for BYU, and I think guys like Xavian Lee and Sergio De Larrea absolutely could be fantastic pieces if they so choose to come to Brigham Young University. All right, so there you go. I think that's enough for today. Enough basketball talk, enough, saying exactly what BYU and how they operate is. So as always, thank you for all of your support. Please continue to subscribe, rate, review, share this with your Baylor Bears friends and tell them, hey, get over it. But nonetheless, be nice. We're obviously supposed to be Christ-like and be loving in all of our communications. But nonetheless, once again, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And as always, thank you for being everydayers right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.